spent in a miserable way.
U.S. News: Sackler family, fortune and philanthropy under scrutiny amid opioid lawsuits. The Sacklers, owners of the pharmaceutical giant Purdue Pharma LP, have a combined fortune estimated by Forbes at $13 billion. The lawsuits, including a case brought by the Massachusetts Attorney General's office that produced fresh and deeply unflattering revelations about the family on Thursday, have alleged that the Sacklers boosted their wealth by pushing what they knew to be addictive and deadly painkillers onto doctors and patients while reaping more than $4 billion in opioid profits over the course of a decade. But before it became the focus of scathing accusations in court papers, the Sackler name was most closely associated with some of the premier cultural and academic institutions in the world. At the Metropolitan Museum of Art, the Sackler wing houses one of the museum's jewels, the Temple of the Dirt. One Sackler brother, the Sacklers have also gifted a wing at the Louvre, a courtyard at the, and they have funded scores of educational programs, professorships and medical research programs at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Columbia University, Cornell and Stanford Universities and the Yale Cancer Center. As the family's alleged role in the opioid crisis has been exposed during litigation, many of these institutions have faced increasing pressure to return their gifts and remove the family name from their facilities. Purdue Pharma and its family owners secretly pursued a plan to become an A spokesman for Purdue, Bob Josephson, said Thursday that the release of the unredacted complaint was part Massachusetts. The family came into its fortune through three Sackler brothers, Arthur, Mortimer and Raymond, now deceased. After Arthur died in 1987, his estate sold his stock options to his brothers, and the company changed its name to Purdue Pharma. In the 1990s, OxyContin went on to balloon the family's fortune. It also became. Opioids are a class of pharmaceuticals that include prescription painkillers such as OxyContin, morphine and fentanyl, as well as illicit drugs such as heroin. In 2008, of the Sacklers are named as defendants in the Massachusetts Attorney General's lawsuit, along with Purdue and 9 other people currently or formerly associated with the company. Purdue's former chairman and president, Richard Sackler, one of Raymond's sons, is a particular focus of the lawsuit. It described him as, Sackler went to doctors' offices with sales reps at times to push sales and sought advertising that was aggressive and positive, even as executives at Purdue were concerned about how he was promoting the drug, according to court filings. In 2001, the lawsuit says, Sackler disclosed in a confidential email his Still, other Sacklers have moved beyond the family business. Madeline Sackler.
Raindrop, drop top, top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Cracking, fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.